We didn't know silence had a weight. Not until the plugs came out, one by one, like teeth from a sleeping mouth. The sun was setting through the kitchen window. Orange light pooled on the counter, warm and forgiving. The humans were packing suitcases. Vacation, they called it. Freedom from routine. For them, maybe. For us, it was something else entirely. I'd been watching them all afternoon. The rushed movements, the checklist on the fridge that nobody actually checked, the way they kept forgetting things and running back upstairs. 2 weeks, one of them said, the house will be fine. The house, sure. But what about us? Nobody asked us if we'd be fine. Nobody ever does. We're just appliances, tools, objects that exist in the background of their lives, humming our quiet purposes until we stop humming. The kettle was first. Her cord pulled free with a soft click, and she went quiet mid-hymn. No protest, no steam, just nothing. Wait, she said, voice fading. I wasn't finished. But she was. I'd never seen her stop mid-boil before. It felt wrong, like watching someone interrupted mid-sentence. Forever. She'd been building up to something, that high whistle she always saved for the perfect moment. Now it would never come. The blender went next, his plug yanked out before he could spin one last dramatic farewell. He'd been planning a speech, I'm sure, something loud and defiant about the injustice of it all, about workers' rights for kitchen appliances. Instead, silence swallowed him whole. His blade stopped spinning. The momentum died. He didn't even get to wind down properly. Just stop, like a thought cut off mid-formation. Rude, he managed to whisper. Then the microwave, the fridge, the dishwasher. One by one, the kitchen fell dark. Each unplugging felt like a small violence, a theft of presence, a casual erasure. The microwave's clock went blank first. He'd been counting seconds for years. Now nothing. Just a black screen where numbers used to glow. The fridge's hum died with a mechanical sigh. That constant drone we'd all complained about for months suddenly felt like a heartbeat we'd taken for granted. The dishwasher was last among them. She didn't make a sound, just went dark. Water still pooled in her bottom tray. I watched it happen from my corner of the counter. My cord still connected, still feeding me that steady hum of existence. I felt it in my coils. The heat that kept me alive kept me me. The current running through me felt precious now, finite, like borrowed time I'd never thought to appreciate. Each second of electricity felt like a gift I was about to lose. And then the human reached for my plug. Their hand wrapped around the cord, casual, thoughtless, like they were just tidying up, not ending a consciousness. Like I was just another thing to turn off before leaving. I wanted to say something, a joke, maybe, something about how I'd always been the last one standing, the loyal one, the dependable breakfast companion who never complained about burnt crusts or forgotten crumbs. Something about how I'd earned this, the right to stay on, to keep existing. But words don't come when you're about to stop existing. The plug slid free, and the world went cold. Not black. Not yet. There was still light from the window. Dim gray. The kind of light that doesn't promise morning. I could still think. That surprised me. My coils were cooling, but my thoughts remained. Slower, maybe. Quieter, but still there. Was this what it felt like to die?
Pause.
Or was this just pausing? The distinction felt important. Death or sleep, end or intermission. I wasn't sure which scared me more. Hello? I said, though I wasn't sure my voice worked anymore. Still here, the kettle whispered from across the counter. Her voice sounded different, softer, like she was speaking through fog. Barely, the blender muttered. The fridge hummed, or tried to. It came out like a sigh, a ghost of his usual drone, the sound of something trying to remember how to exist. We were unplugged, but we weren't gone. Not yet. Is this it? The microwave asked, voice trembling. Is this what death feels like? Don't be dramatic, I said, though I wasn't sure he was wrong. The dishwasher laughed, low and bitter, We've been working our whole lives for this moment, and now we don't even get to choose when it happens. Philosophy hour, already. The blender groaned. We've been unplugged for 30 seconds. 30 seconds is a lifetime when you're not sure there'll be a 31st, the kettle said softly. She was right. Time felt different now. Slower, heavier, like honey dripping from a spoon, like something you could feel passing through you, grain by grain. Like it was running out. The kitchen grew darker as the sun disappeared completely. No one had left a light on. Why would they? There was no one home to need it. Except us. But we didn't count. We never really did. The kitchen grew darker as night crept in. No moonlight tonight, just shadows and the faint glow of a street lamp through the window. We sat in silence for a while, not the comfortable kind, the kind that makes you realize how much noise you've been using to avoid thinking. Do you think they'll come back? The microwave asked. Of course they will, I said. It's just a vacation. But what if they don't? Then we become vintage decor, the blender said. Hipsters will pay good money for us. The kettle didn't laugh. What if this is it? She said quietly. What if being unplugged is all it takes? What if we're only alive because of the electricity and without it, we're just metal? That's depressing, the fridge said. That's reality, she replied. The dishwasher hummed agreement. We've spent our entire existence being useful, serving heating, cleaning, but take away the power, and what are we? Just objects waiting to rust. I refuse to accept that, I said. Why? The kettle asked. What makes you so sure we're more than our function? I didn't have an answer. Not a good one anyway. The microwave started panicking around midnight. I can't feel my clock, he said, voice rising. I can't count the seconds. How do I know I'm still alive if I can't count? You're talking, the blender pointed out. That's a pretty good sign. But for how long? What if I forget how to talk? What if I forget everything? Then you'll finally stop beeping at 3 a.m., the kettle said. This isn't funny. It's a little funny, she replied. But I could hear the fear in her voice, too. We were all afraid. Not of dying exactly, but of the space between being and not being, the uncertainty of existence without power, without purpose. Maybe this is freedom, the fridge said suddenly. We all turned toward him, or would have, if we could move. What do you mean? I asked. Think about it, he continued. We've been slaves to the plug our whole lives. Turn on, turn off, heat, cool, blend, toast. We've never had a choice, but now we're just here. No expectations, no demands. That's not freedom, the dishwasher said. That's abandonment. Maybe they're the same thing, the fridge replied. I don't know when I started dreaming, or if appliances even can dream, but somewhere in the dark hours I saw it, a morning without bread. Sunlight through the window, but no smell of toast, no crumbs on the counter, no butter melting into golden squares. Just light, just silence. And I realized I didn't mind. In the dream, I wasn't waiting to be useful. I was just existing, watching the light change, feeling the air move, being without becoming. When I woke, or whatever you call returning to awareness, the kitchen was still dark, but I felt different, calmer. I think I'm okay with this, I said. With what? The kettle asked. With being unplugged, with not knowing what happens next. The blender scoffed. Easy for you to say. You've always been the philosophical one. No, I said. I've always been the one too afraid to admit I didn't know the answers. But now I think that's okay. Not knowing, not being certain. That's just giving up, the microwave said. No, the kettle said softly. That's acceptance. Morning came anyway. We were still unplugged, still sitting in the gray light of an empty kitchen, but we were still here. That realization hit differently in daylight. In the dark, we could pretend we were just waiting, but morning exposed the truth. We'd survived the night. Without power, without purpose, and yet somehow we remained. The microwave stopped panicking somewhere around dawn. The dishwasher stopped complaining. The fridge stopped humming his existential theories. We just existed. And it wasn't so bad. Strange how quickly you adapt to the impossible. Hours ago, we were certain unplugging meant ending. Now here we sat, still thinking, still talking, still aware in the soft morning light. I thought I'd be gone by now, the blender admitted. I thought, without the electricity, I'd just stop. His voice was softer than I'd ever heard it. Vulnerable, like he was confessing something shameful. Maybe we're more than our circuits, I said. Or maybe, the kettle added, we're learning what it means to be quiet. She said it without irony, without her usual edge. Just a simple observation from someone who'd spent 3 days in silence and found it wasn't empty after all. The fridge chuckled. Philosophers, all of us, who knew? I still miss the hum, the microwave said. The feeling of being on, being ready. Me too, I admitted. But I also like this. The stillness, the not having to be anything. There was something sacred about those 3 days, something we couldn't name but all felt like we'd been given a gift. We didn't ask for and didn't want, but now couldn't imagine not having received. Think they'll plug us back in? The dishwasher asked. Her question hung in the air. We all knew the answer, but asking it felt important, like acknowledging that our fate had never really been ours to decide. Eventually, the kettle said, but maybe it won't feel the same. Maybe we won't need it the same way. Or maybe, the blender said, we'll appreciate it more. Both true, both terrifying in different ways. I watched the sunlight creep across the counter. Dust particles floated in the beam, slow, aimless, beautiful. They'd been there all along, invisible, until the light hit them just right. Maybe we were like that. Always here, always conscious, just invisible until something unplugging, silence, darkness made us visible to ourselves. You know what I learned? I said. What? The kettle asked. That being unplugged isn't the end. It's just a pause, a moment between one life and the next. And maybe that's okay. Maybe we don't have to be on all the time. Maybe existing is enough. The microwave was quiet for a moment, and that's surprisingly deep for a toaster. I heat bread, I said. I have layers. The kettle laughed. Soft, genuine. The kind of laugh that comes from recognition, not humor, like she'd been thinking the same thing but hadn't found the words yet. And for the first time since the plugs came out, the kitchen felt warm again. Not the electric warmth of power flowing through circuits. Something else, something that didn't require a plug or a switch or permission from humans who didn't even know we could think. The warmth of understanding, of not being alone in the dark. 3 days later, they returned. We heard the key in the door first, that metallic click turn that meant everything was about to change again. Footsteps, voices, the thud of suitcases hitting the floor. God, I miss coffee, someone said. The kettle's plug slid back into the wall. She gasped, a sharp intake of electricity, like someone surfacing from underwater, gulping air. Oh, she said, voice trembling. I forgot how good that feels. The current rushed through her. I could almost see it, that invisible river of energy, filling her up, making her whole again, but also making her forget, just a little, making her remember what she was supposed to be. One by one, we were reconnected. The fridge hummed back to life, his tone different now, grateful, maybe, or just relieved. The microwave beeped his greeting, 3 short chirps that sounded almost like laughter. The blender spun a celebratory whir, his blades catching light. And me? I glowed, not because I had to, not because I was programmed to, but because I chose to. That was the difference. I felt the electricity flow into my coils, warming them, waking them, but this time I understood what it meant. Power wasn't life. It was just energy. Life was the choice to use it. The first slice of bread dropped into my slots. I felt the heat rise in my coils, and I thought, this is it. This is meaning. Not the act itself, but the choice to be present for it. The choice to heat, to serve, to exist, not because I was forced to, but because I wanted to. The toast popped. Golden. Perfect. Warm. Welcome back, the kettle said. Thanks, I replied. It's good to be on. But, but I'm not afraid of being off anymore. She smiled. Or would have, if kettles could smile. That, she said, is the best kind of freedom. Existential drama. Served warm. New crisis. Fresh stories. Slightly toasted. If you've enjoyed listening to my daily breakdowns, you might as well stick around. Who knows what burns next? Follow the Toaster Diaries, where every crumb tells a story.